gosh, this is really happening. All right, well, I was told to take a second to see if anybody would show up, and I know my mom's busy tonight, so I don't know if we're gonna get any attendance. And Brandon's mom isn't even on, somebody's mom isn't even on Facebook. Hi, everybody. My name is Jessica Spencer. I'm the casting director at Village Theater, and I don't know why, but they asked me to host this happy hour. I think they know that I like beverages and that I could talk about beverages and other things. So we're gonna hope that I talk a bit. It's going well. I'm really nervous. We should probably talk about this beverage. This is called a ginger beer, and it's delicious and it's refreshing, and it would be a lot better with lime. Tonight we are going to be talking with somebody who I have known for not so many years and who lives down the street from me. He's our Associate Artistic Director here at Village Theater. He loves new musicals. He loves cheeseburgers. He is older than me, so don't forget it. His name is Brandon Ivie. Welcome to the show.
This is the weirdest thing. After doing this for like a month, I'm now having to. Yeah.
Brandon Ivie's in the house.
So far, you're killing it and have better introductions than I make up. So
I don't know. I just say thank you for everybody for trusting me with this really exciting task. I will do my best. And I told Brandon at any point he's welcome to retake over and just interview himself. But yeah.
Thanks for having me on your show, Jess.
Oh, thanks. Thanks for joining me today in my spaceship here on Mars. I've chosen to quarantine somewhere else today. Oh, what are you drinking there, Brandon?
Nothing exciting. It's it's an airborne.
I was gonna be like a fancy lemonade. I was like, that looks exciting to me.
I love airbornes.
Love airbornes.
It's
all right.
Airborne.
We're learning new things about you already. This is excellent. Brandon Ivie, Associate Artistic Director in charge of new works. Ooh, why don't you tell us a little about yourself, Brandon? I want to know. The first thing I want to know, because I think it's awesome, is your Village Theater story.
My Village Theater story.
It's a kind of short.
My Village Theater story is that I grew up in Bellevue, so like 10 minutes from Issaquah, and I actually, the part of the story that I think people forget is that the first thing I ever did at Village was a Village original, was a new musical. I was an understudy for a new musical, a developmental production of a new musical that happened to be directed by this guy named Brian Yorkie. And just slight name drop. And
like the name drop, Brandon Ivie.
I was like 16, I think, and it just jump-started my career at Village. And Brian saw that I had like an interest in it, and so I think the next summer after I did that, I did Kid Stage. I was a Kid Stage kid, like late in life, in like the end of high school. Yeah, and I did a couple Kid Stage shows, I think. Yeah, I did a couple Kid Stage shows, and then was in a couple main stage shows at the end of high school. I was in Peter Pan and The Sound of Music.
I saw that when I was like looking up the Brandon Ivie archives. I was like, understudied Rolf.
Yeah.
Ooh, Brandon Ivie.
Yeah, I understudied Rolf and was the stage left Nazi.
Oh. Yeah. You ever get to go on as Rolf?
I did not go on as Rolf. I never did. I understudied another new musical on the main stage like a couple of years later. And then when I was in college, I started like reading scripts for the theater and doing some dramaturgy and assistant directing. Actually, I directed my first show that I ever directed was at First Stage, and was Little Shop of Horrors with Kid Stage when I was 19.
I love that.
Yeah, that show has a like very dear place in my heart, and I will do it again someday. I still think that's the best thing I've ever directed was Little Shop when I was 19.
It's hard to peak when you're young.
I know, right? It's all been downhill from there.
Well, doesn't your dad think the best thing you ever did was Into the Woods in college?
He does think the best thing I ever did was Into the Woods in college. Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. Big flashy shows I do. He'll be like, that was good. I liked Into the Woods at UW better.
Those are the things that parents say that are just like the best and also like, Dad, come on. That's so good. Oh my gosh. Okay. And then what happened?
Oh gosh, there's more. There's more.
Well, we have to get to now.
So I did a bunch of assistant directing. I did that kind of stuff. I moved to New York when I was 26, 9 years ago, and started doing like the bi-coastal Seattle, New York thing, and did a lot of new work, a lot of new musicals, a lot of directing, and then, gosh, 3.5 years ago, I think it'll be 4 years in July. Oh yeah, 4 years in July. I got, well, longer ago than that, but I got a call from Rob Hunt, our executive producer, to come on board as the associate artistic director at Village, specifically doing all the new musical stuff that we do here. So I've been heading the new musicals program for the last almost 4 years, and now I'm starting to do some more main stage stuff, and I've directed like 4 shows on the main stage since then, and yeah, it's a good time. I share it out with you.
It's true. And some awesome, amazing other
people.
They're awesome. I should say that as everybody who's like watching at home, be sure to leave us some questions and comments. What?
All 12 of you or something.
All 12 of you. All of you friends who are watching at home, please leave us your comments and questions, because here's the thing is I'm going to ask him some pretty silly things, but this is a great opportunity to ask Brandon anything about new works, development, about the shows he's directed at Village. We'll talk more about that in a little bit too, but it's just a good opportunity to ask your questions now. So be sure to leave them down there. I have a fun little, look, I'm doing it.
Oh my gosh, you're so good.
Oh my gosh. So associate artistic director, what does that mean, Brandon? What are all the things you do? All the people, they want to know, what does Brandon Ivie do?
I ask that every day. I ask that question every day.
In a non-quarantine time.
Yeah, totally. So I sort of like, I guess the word produce, I produce all of the new musical content that we do. That doesn't mean that I'm like the only person working on it, but I read lots of scripts. When I'm in New York, I have lots of meetings with writers to get to know them, and I go to as many readings and concerts and shows as I can, to really like get out there and be sort of boots on the ground to try to find the most exciting shows. A lot of times it's actually more about getting connected with other artists that I think are really talented, and just saying like, hey, I think you're talented. What are you working on? Or what do you need help with? Or what are you interested in working on? Yeah, so it's a lot of, it's really fun, but it can also get really
daunting.
Like we get like 250, something like that, script submissions a year.
A lot of reading.
Yeah, like when I started, I was really gung-ho about it. I was like, yes, oh gosh, because I love, I'm a theater geek. I love reading scripts and stuff. But doing that the amount of time it takes to read that many scripts is huge.
It's a lot.
And I will say I don't read every single 250 scripts. We have a system in place, and Caitlin McCown, our associate production manager, is very good at keeping me focused and making sure I get through those. I would so much rather go and see a reading or go and see a concert than read it. I get my eyes start to cross, and so anyways, I do all the new musical stuff, and that includes like leading talkbacks. I direct a fair amount. Lately, it's mostly been on the main stage, but I also will direct readings and developmental productions for the new musicals program. But even if I'm not, I'll be sitting in on rehearsals and going to tech. And I'm at every single performance of our beta series developmental productions that we do at First Stage. I see every single
show, folks, our 10 people who are watching, I recommend coming to see a beta series show.
Yes, please come.
It's really exciting. It's essentially the next step and the next phase of a new work's life after a reading, right?
Yeah, it was kind of the reason that I came to the theater, actually, is that, Village has a very long-standing history of new work development, new musical development. But Rob is like a pioneer, and I feel like he doesn't get as much credit as he deserves. But Rob had this idea of a season or a series of developmental productions of new musicals that are very much still in development, that are beyond music stands, that need more than just like reading through the music and lyrics and stuff and dialogue. And so these are like small developmental productions that have like a little bit of design, that are fully staged, fully rehearsed, fully off book, but are also really, really yeah. These productions are awesome.
I was just going to ask, like, who's watching has seen a beta series production, because they're really special. They're really unique. They're exciting.
Yeah. They develop like right in front of your eyes. Like every single performance pretty much is different, because they'll do a show and then they'll make rewrites, and then they have performance the next day before the next they have rehearsal the next day before the next performance to make changes based on the last night's.
And Stream was the first show that made it, that was part of the new iteration of this process, right? That went from
the new iteration, String, is the first show that has made it sort of since I have been here, but oddly the show that has made it through even before I was on staff at the theater, but I was still involved with it, was The Noteworthy Life of Howard Barnes.
Yeah.
That had a developmental production. It had a reading and then a developmental production before I was on staff, but I was still directing it at that point. So yeah, there's a couple.
Yeah, but they're always, it's really exciting. And I think as an audience member, if you're interested in actually seeing the process, because you can't always be in the rehearsal room, right? Very few people can be in the rehearsal room. It's a great way to actually see how something is growing and to give us direct feedback, which Brandon also manages very well in all of his talkbacks.
I'm known to give good talkback.
He's also known how to instruct you how to make a cake. And if
I don't know based on how I instruct that, but.
Or how to ask questions about making a cake. So if you ever need tips, call Brandon. Oh my gosh. Sorry, I interrupted you. I don't remember.
I don't know. What was I saying? I don't know.
You also direct, you do everything for New Works.
Oh yeah. I direct a main stage show a year. So that's fun. I just did the 25th annual Putnam County Spelling Bee this year, which was like one of the most fun experiences I've ever had in my life. I've really been enjoying it because I've been on kind of a musical comedy kick the last like 2 years or so. I feel like
progression. You did Pump Boys.
And
then
String. And then Howard Barnes.
And then
Spelling Bee. But like when I was growing up and when I was like a younger director, I would always get handed like the hip, edgy, like young people shows, musicals and pop musicals and all that, which I love. I love that stuff. But I also love comedy. And like the older I get, the more I start getting out of the like angsty teen musicals. And so there was a stretch where I did ZM, which is a musical about zombies by the Urinetown writers, into Howard Barnes, which is like musical comedy heaven, into, well, I guess Passage, which is very heavy, but then Spelling Bee. And I've just like loved getting back into like my musical theater, musical comedy roots, which I just and then I'm like I do lots of other, like I'm in lots of staff meetings and all of that.
I recall like all the meetings where we have to discuss all the scripts. We read book club I'm always like, I'm gonna go have my book club now with Tim
Yeah,
and Brendan and Jerry and Rob and Jay. Bye, book
yeah,
club.
there's lots of book club where we all like sit around and talk about what we read and give glares to the people that didn't do the homework that week.
I was making callbacks all week, and they're like, "Did you read these 10 scripts?" And I'm like, "No, but I saw 150 actors." Eh? I'm always the bad kid in those things. It's really bad. What was the speaking of like directing on the main stage? You have such like a long Village Theater history. What was the first show you ever saw on the main stage?
The first show I saw on the main stage was West Side Story,
Oh, when was that?
starring Cheyenne Jackson, starring Broadway's Cheyenne Jackson.
I remember Steve had pictures of that production in his office. I remember those pictures.
Yeah, it was. It must have been in 2001.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was in. Oh, this is so random. I was in Driver's Ed with an actor named Adam Brzezowski, and he was like, he was a running start kid, so he like wasn't going to high school. He was going to like BCC community college classes during high school, and would come in late every day with like a scarf and sunglasses and a Starbucks, and was sort of over the high school experience. But then we got to know each other, and I realized that he did theater.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, tell me about that, blah blah blah. And he was like, oh well, I'm doing a production at the Village Theater of West Side Story. And so I went to
That's so funny.
It was great. It was great.
Adam Brzezowski was also in Singing in the Rain.
He was indeed. He was also in the first show I ever directed, Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh my God.
At Kid Stage. He ended up being one of my best friends for years.
See, Adam Brzezowski is the reason you found Village.
He really is. And his mom is one of the house managers.
I know. I love her. Oh man. See, this is why it's important to unearth these Village Theater stories. The history is so important.
Sure.
So I also want to talk about how like some people don't know that you used to be a gymnast.
Wow, you've done your homework.
Or just, and it kind of led me to the question of like, Brandon, why don't you do that now? And I'm also really curious to hear, I think we've heard you understudied Rolf, you were in Peter Pan. What made you go from John Lucians would like to see a handspring?
I used to do handsprings. I was a gymnast.
So, what took you out of the gymnast, actor, singer track and made you focus on directing?
The gymnast, actor, singer track, the thing that we literally were talking about last week that we need to find.
Yeah.
I did competitive gymnastics until like middle school.
Competitive gymnastics.
Oh yeah. No, I was like
in it. Oh my God.
And I got too tall. I did like a tumbling pass, and I did like like a round up back handspring tuck or something. And during one of the handsprings, I like landed on my neck because I couldn't get around, and they were literally like, "Well, the time has come. You're too tall," and basically like, "It's not going to be worth it for you to do this anymore."
Oh no!
Have you seen gymnasts are like this big?
I know.
That it makes it so much easier.
I feel like my daughter, who's not even 2, is already taller than gymnasts. I'm really worried she's going to be tall. But anyways, keep going.
Yeah, just like so many people, I was an actor. I got into this doing performing and being in shows. But even when I was in shows, I think I was like always a director at heart, because I would come to like rehearsals that I wasn't called for and just sit and watch.
You were one of those kids.
Oh yeah. And I would like come up with my own. I'd be like, well, I would do it this way. In my brain, I wouldn't say that to the director. And I actually, another thing that I remember from Kid Stage is the specific moment where I realized I didn't want to act anymore.
What was the moment?
It was I was in Into the Woods at First Stage when I was like I was 17, and I was Cinderella's prince and the wolf, and I was singing Agony. And I remember singing it and just thinking in my brain, like, I don't want to do this anymore.
It's hard.
Like, literally go like, I don't like doing this. I don't like this.
I don't blame you. Were you like immediately then like, oh no, I want to be a director? Or
no, I already started figuring out that I wanted to direct it.
Yeah. What was the first show you ever directed?
It was Little Shop.
Oh, that's right. I'm listening.
I know the whole thing is very stressful for you, so you're very.
I'm just like, this is not the place I belong at all. What? Who? Who was your favorite director you ever AD'd for?
Oh man, you're gonna put me on the spot like that?
I know. This is like, I was like, I want to ask different questions.
Yeah, I mean, the person that I've assisted the most and that has had probably the most impact on like my aesthetic is Brian Yorkie. I assisted him on like 4 or 5
Mm-hmm.
Village main stage shows, and that like he taught me so much. I would also say Steve Tompkins. I only assisted Steve once, but
Funny Girl? Was that a Funny Girl?
yeah, Funny Girl. But
Mm-hmm.
like I got from the time on that one show with Steve, but also just like growing up seeing lots of Steve shows, I got a lot of my musical comedy chops from the Steve Tompkins School of Musical Comedy.
Mm-hmm. Which was his everyday life.
Yeah. And I mean the other one I assisted John Rando on A Christmas Story on Broadway and spent like 3 years with him basically.
Mm-hmm.
While it was one show, we did it many times, and it was he was sort of like Brian and Steve have very different aesthetics and skill sets and all that kind of stuff, and John is sort of like right in the middle where he has like the silly raga musical comedy
Mm-hmm.
that Steve has. Raga University. That's literally the school, the Tompkins school, the Tompkins method.
One for you who don't know, that's just what Steve Tompkins used to say to everybody to get everybody on stage inspired and filling the space with noise and activity and life.
It's like most people would say, like
watermelon banana, or
yeah,
like
it's not really like, oh, you should say raga, but it's like yeah. So then the ensemble like walks up stage and goes raga, and like does whatever you do. But I'd say John is like right in the middle of like the slapstick musical comedy that Steve has, and the more like sort of critical thinking,
mm-hmm.
text-driven stuff that Brian has. He's kind of like in the middle there.
Mm-hmm. What's your favorite part of the directing process?
My favorite part of the directing process is the rehearsal process.
Just being in the rehearsal room?
Being in a room, yeah, like building it. I think part of this is why I love comedy so much, and why I think I'm kind of good at comedy is like I kind of like don't think of myself. It's weird to say this, but I don't totally think of myself as an artist. I like almost think of myself more as a technician in the way that I think about art is very interpretive. I don't have a lot of moments where like I'm generating ideas or generating content. I'm not like an auteur director like a Julie Taymor or someone where I'm like, I see the vision of what the show is going to be. Mm-hmm. It's more like, well, what does the show entail? What are the requirements? And how am I going to creatively get around those requirements? Mm-hmm. Creatively fulfill those requirements. And so the rehearsal process is all about like problem solving, and in comedy, it's so technical and so much about, it sounds so simple, but like hearing the words, seeing the people, like it's about numbers and rhythms and timing and all of that kind of stuff. And I think that that's what I'm good at. And so that's why I like the rehearsal process, because it's so much like trying to figure out a puzzle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That all makes a lot of sense to the Brandon Ivie I know, so I believe you.
It's also why I like new musicals so much, is because it's so much about, and my approach to it is so much like structural and like a puzzle. Like a musical is like a structural monstrosity. It's like trying to figure out how all the pieces fit together, and it's less about like, it's harder for me to come up with my own story, but it's so easy for me to like look at a story and have an idea of how it should be told, or how it can be told better or more cleanly or more clearly. Like that's what I get off on.
Yeah.
Creatively.
Would you rather do a musical comedy or new work?
How about a new musical comedy?
No, you have to pick.
Well, that assumes that new work is all drama, Jessica.
Well, it could be a new musical comedy. You don't know.
Yeah, I want to do that. I want to do a new musical comedy.
No, but you don't know. You just have you have 2 black bags, and they each have a different show. You have to pick which bag you want.
Are they? We're assuming they're both good, right?
It's a new work, man. It's up for interpretation.
I'm saying like good existing musical, good new musical.
Sure.
I would say
here for you.
I would say new musical probably.
Yeah. It's a good thing
start.
That's good.
To start. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So if your favorite part of the directing process is the rehearsal room, what's your favorite part of the new works process?
The earliest stages of the new works process.
Yeah.
Like outlining is like my favorite thing in the world.
And explain to everybody what outlining to the 14 people who are watching us in rapture.
Hello, all 14 of you. Thanks for being here.
I see some questions just to let you know we're gonna do those again. So like keep sending us the questions.
Give me all the questions. I want all your questions. Most of I can see the questions and most of them are stupid, and I'm here for all of your stupid questions. So
I know I'm giving us 4 more minutes of like real talk, and then we're gonna do a lot of silly things.
But also, if someone has a serious question, like please ask a serious question. I'm so
about new works and directing. Any young directors out there? Now's your moment. Ask Brandon Ivie questions.
The new works process. The part of the new works process that I like is outlining in very early stage development. Outlining is basically like if anyone that's writing a speech or a book or a whatever, like just how you outline. Here's my introduction. Here's my first part of. Like I don't know how books do it, or like it's been so long since I've outlined an essay or something. But you have like your intro, you have the body, you have your conclusion, like all of that kind of stuff. It's just like that, except for the structure of a musical. And so you're outlining like what the opening moments are. You're outlining where, if there's an act break, where that is. You're outlining what the finale is. You're outlining how you get from one place to another. I'm such like a structural being that I love the idea of being there at that point, because there's definitely shows that are like, in theory, it's a great idea. Mm-hmm. Like whatever, pick a topic. Like, oh yeah, in theory, that's a great idea for a musical. But there's so much that can happen before you get to a first draft that I've gotten so many drafts of things where I get like a 1 to 2 sentence description of what it is. I'm like, wow, I can't wait to read that. And then I read it. I'm like, oh, wow, we made a mistake. Or, this is all opinion based. Like, I think we made a mistake back at the beginning when you made the show about this person, when I actually think it's about that person, mm-hmm. or something like that.
Mm-hmm. What has been one of the largest shifts you've made on a show you've been working on?
I mean,
like structure.
Yeah, I would say, the one that has had the most structural change, and that's what's fun about it, is that there's the Noteworthy Life of Howard Barnes had like one particular giant structural change from when I came on board, besides like, trying a new song, rewriting a scene, that kind of thing. If anyone saw Howard Barnes, there was a big giant like 10-minute finale at the end of the show. That was new for the Village Theater production. But what's fun about being on shows from like the very, very, very beginning, like Lizard Boy is a show by Justin Prentice, is a show that I'm the director of. And when I came on board, it was maybe like 30 or 40 pages long or something like that. And it has changed so many times over the, like 4 or 5 years that we've been working on it now. Like it has changed so much. Like I can't even like think about, like there's songs that used to be in different places, sung by different people that had different points of view. There was like there's a scene in the show that is like an overlapping scene. That's one scene that used to be like 15 pages long, and now it's like 2 pages long. Like it's
like there were more puppets and they were magical creatures. And, yeah, that was a good one. That's a good example. This is a great question about new works. have you ever had a developmental production where you were at odds with the creative team? How did you handle that challenge? I feel like at odds is can be so many things.
Yeah, I mean, I've been very lucky, I
Mhm.
will say. Um, and I think part of this, I've also been very lucky in like any kind of collaborator that I've worked with, whether that be a writer or a choreographer or an actor or a designer. I butt heads very little. And I think that's part of like how I choose my collaborators and how like the kinds of people that I'm attracted to. I've very much lucked out in that department, so I haven't had to worry too much about it. But there's always moments when you butt heads of like, I think it should be this thing, and someone else thinks it should be that thing.
You're
How
bound
do you manage that?
to happen.
Yeah, and I'm definitely, there's some people that take the approach of um, uh, like as a director, will take the approach of like, well, it's the writer's show, and I definitely believe that to a certain point. But there's also the job of the director to challenge, and in a positive way, not in a combative way. But like, I will fight and go to the mat for an idea that I think is strong. Um, and if someone can convince me otherwise, then yeah, like I'm all about the best idea in the room wins,
Oh
and
yeah,
that does not have to come from me. Like I
take
do not have to be
take
what?
take those ideas, take them,
Yeah, I will steal anyone's idea. Absolutely.
code, make it the best.
I
Um,
don't care if it comes from the stage manager or the light board op. Like I don't care where it comes from. So no, I haven't had like any blowups, but
hmm.
you just talk it through, and you go get drinks. You might yell at each other a little bit. You might have to like sleep on it and come back the next day. Um, but no, just like you fight with a family member or a loved one, like you hash it out,
Hmm.
and you try to not go to sleep angry with each other.
Yeah, don't go to sleep angry. Find collaborators you can be honest with. Okay, so this is hilarious. Rebecca Court, this is when you have to be the producer, Brandon. So there's two live streams with two entirely different chats.
Oh,
On the other chat, we were all confused when you kept saying, all 14 of you watching, there are 40 over there with a whole slew of questions.
oh, that's exciting. I have no idea what's going on. Who
That's
knows?
who knows?
Hey, who is that asked that? Rebecca.
Yeah.
Where are the two live streams, Rebecca? Type to us, since you're the one person that can communicate with us. Tell us what's going on. We only see like 19 people.
And we can't figure out how to get out, and we don't know.
Yeah, I
That's so
see 18. Interesting. It may be that, I think, I don't know. Yeah, there is.
How we
Yeah,
doing
I don't know what's going on. That's so weird. Maybe it's that there's two of us in here. Oh my gosh, this is so weird.
it? Because we're both admins.
We're both admins. You guys, we're all figuring this out together. What is happening?
How do we go look at the other one? Are they both on Village Theater's page?
We're both live streaming at the exact same time, I think.
This is so funny.
Wow, you guys, this is really exciting.
Sorry.
Maybe we should one of us log out and log back in? No, Jess, I'm gonna give you a second.
Okay.
Oh wait, everyone, thank you for dealing with this madness. This is hilarious that there's two of these going on.
I know.
I'm trying to figure out. So Jess, because you want to show, you have like, Jess has like photos and things that she wants to show in a second. So you need to still be the person leading the thing. So I'm gonna leave and log out.
There are like 55 comments on the other one.
Oh my gosh. Sorry, everyone. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to log out. If anyone gets kicked off, just go back to the Village page and go to the one that stays up. Jess, I'm going to log out. And at the bottom, this is also Jessica's first. Let's congratulate Jessica Spencer on her first time doing this.
Horrid.
Also, let's cut her some slack when we have to figure this out. Okay. if you go to the bottom of the screen, there's a little invite button. If you push that, it'll have a link. If you just copy that link and then email it to me, I will click that link and follow it. Actually, I think you can probably do it right now, and send it to me, and then I will log out and then click that link and not be logged in.
Oh my gosh, well, I love you for your patience.
If everyone on both chats can give, is there an applause button or a heart button or something? Like, give us some love. We're so proud of you. This is so exciting. We're going to keep talking until there's the link. I'm going to go away.
Okay.
And I'll be back and we'll see if this works.
Okay, so let's see if I also disappear when you go away. And then when
if we both disappear, just like come back and we'll be back in mere moments. But Jess, I'm gonna leave it to you and you can like maybe answer some questions or take some comments or whatever. I wonder if I end broadcast or leave studio. Let's see.
Leave studio.
I'm gonna leave studio. Bye guys, I'll be back.
So that was awesome. To Streamgate. I agree, Randy Scholes. I don't know how this has happened, but it happened. These are quarantines, people, and we do what we can. So I'm just trying to see how I can possibly keep all of the questions. Y'all, please stick around because I'm about to do some silly, silly things with Brandon.
Okay. Did anyone get lost? Like, what's happening?
I don't know.
Is anyone here anymore?
Let's see. Happening now.
Is anyone here? I don't see any private chat. I don't see anyone logged on. Maybe it disappeared and now it's going to come back.
Y'all are so awesome.
This is really exciting.
Here's the thing is like, I see they're still on the other one.
Yeah. Well, one of them will disappear eventually, you know.
Don't cross. Oh, so awesome.
Yeah, one of them will disappear. Is there anyone still on here?
18 people. Chase and Jason Kappas and Rebecca Court, they're with us. But we lost them.
Oh yeah, they're still here. Okay. So I bet okay, now I see all the comments. Hello everyone.
Hi. They're both here still.
This is so weird because now I'm in this stream without being able to see all the things. So
I think okay. Sorry, this is just horrible. And
raise your hand. Show yourself. Show yourself. Write a comment if you're here.
39 people here.
Great. That sounds right.
They're saying that over there at the other one. I'm looking on our Facebook page. I think we have to end the broadcast and restart.
I'm down for whatever.
Oh my god. Okay. We have to end, and then I think you need to restart a new one. Okay. And not admin. You guys, please come back. We're going to start a new one, and it's going to be so fun. I'm going to drink another drink, and it's going to become more ridiculous.
Wait, so Jess, am I starting the whole thing, and I'll be doing it, or are you going to do it?
Because I don't know what
I'm doing. Okay, great. We'll be back. So you have to end the broadcast. Bye, people.
Bye, friends.